Yeah, some of the properties have not only increased the herd size and get some good business structures in, some of them are starting to launch out now into innovative ways of managing. For example, here on these grass plains, there's the fellas that manage this property are negotiating to form a partnership to come and harvest hay. And there's some really good innovations at a property just out of Halls Creek with self-mustering yards. The mustering costs have been reduced from around $15 a head down to about $1 a head. And so the margins, the profit margins are increasing, even though the prices have been going down in the cattle for the year or so. The actual profit margins have increased because of efficiencies brought in through the management style.
But you get them in the yard, inside the yard with hay, you can get right up close on them.
I love working back home with my people and actually seeing the place we work on and getting it developed. I've learned it all from my mentor, from Bob McConaughey from the KIMSS project. He sort of input that information into me, and then we talked about it, and then had a schedule on the paper, and then go out and market it and just see how it's going to happen. And then we sort of got a bit of grant for it, and then started to build on it.
The property managers or manager come up with a new idea, and we sit down around a table or out in a paddock under a tree, doesn't matter where it is, but we sit down and we work through that idea and we find ways of doing it.
So my main aim is to make this viable and a sustainable station, and then it'll be good for us to work on it and for our children when they grow up.
I remember all the good times, swimming in the little spring, learning from the old man how to survive. Now we've got kids of our own, we've got to teach them all the old ways too.
We've branched out late last year, and we've employed a trainee on the STEP program. He's actually on a traineeship, young Ivan Bridge from Halls Creek, and that's the first time the project's done that.
Yeah, I was doing paperwork and on the computer and doing know how to check email and that, and do work the computer properly. I got a bit of a dream that wish that everyone in the Kimberley and stations, parcels, leases and everything work good and people out there working. And
we gotta keep up with computers, that's now running our lives, and the politicians that's always changing the rules. Whenever you get time, old friend, let's talk about the good old days.
But it was a lot harder back then, I guess. Like everyone had to do it on horseback, you know, and this is where the Kimberley cattlemen really come in handy, especially the Aboriginal people, because we're hunters and gatherers, you know, and the normal thing for us to hunt is if you're going to hunt meat, we know where to look for them and areas where they're going to be and all that sort of stuff. And not only that, but a lot of the people know their background of the countries back then, and the white settlers back then really needed them because they didn't know the ins and outs of a lot of this country and where the cattle might be and stuff like that, you know. But it was a harder time, but the men were a lot healthier, the kids were, you know, like a lot respectable now, and there was a lot of respect in amongst the community itself.
Many of the Aboriginal pastoral businesses involve a community, quite a large community which may be on the pastoral lease, and it became very clear that council leadership or governing committee leadership, all of the sorts of protocols and rules that were needed around how to run the cattle business when it sits amongst a community, that was a critical factor and that leadership was needed in governance.
Well, the governance stuff is from the KIMSS side. It was good to get this governance thing training, because half of the corporation around the Kimberley didn't know about this sort of thing.
just part of the community. It helps them to realise that the Constitution is not something that restricts them. The rule books are not there to stop them and to hold them down. That if they understand them and they start to work with them, that in fact those rules can protect. They can help community members.
Well, we really need to know the governance training, how the rules of this community, how to run an organisation properly. And then the people will understand it and they'll have to go by the rules of the community, and then people will slow down from the wrong things, you know.
When you're running things, you'd like to know where you stand too, you know. You know where you're standing then. And you know what's going to be done and where can you go from there, that sort of thing.
The success on the ground has been spectacular on some of the properties. We've seen turnarounds of 800 and 1,000% and 300% and 400%, and it's always on those properties where there's a commitment from the people to get on with their business. It's a commitment on them to take charge of their own affairs and to do it themselves without relying on outside contractors all the time. Then they get the support from the project and the coordinators, most of whom have got experience managing stations in the non-Indigenous sector of the industry. And then the Indigenous Land Corporation supports infrastructure development with grants or with monies and materials. And where those three things come into place, the properties really start to go ahead.
We'll put a yard up here, or portable yard here, and we'll put a wing down into this creek line, and we can run these cattle down this way up this valley, and when they hit that wing, feed them straight up.
That's good country to run them anyway. So.
Good open country.
Yeah, so run straight in, no humbuck.
Yeah, good country to be hardened up here.
Yeah.
We didn't get anywhere, so we was thinking, we sat down one day and said, well, we got kids and we got grandkids, and we need to show our kids what we can do. Not when we pass on, not leaving them with nothing. When we leave them, they got a business to run. That sort of thing. Think about the future of our kids. That sort of thing.
We need more young people out there to learn them and train them the cattle or the bush way. So yeah, the stockman race is starting to fall away. So we need more young people out there.
What I'd like to see is cattlemen back in the Kimberleys that are working not only the cattle but the land and their people. That'd be a good sight to see. A lot of these pastoral properties now that have been sort of run down have been one of the best part of the countries up here, you know. But it's just been run down so much. But to see that back up again with good cattlemen and strong cattle, good looking cattle, good horses, paddocks all up and all that sort of stuff, running up to a standard where a pastoral property should, it'd be good to see that. Yep. It'd be good to see that.
For me, from my heart, that I've seen that what's happening and what's going on, it is really good. That's what I feel, because I want to see that I want to carry on. And because the land is belong to us, and we gotta keep on, go on.
Life can be wild.